The narcissistic cycle begins with love bombing, and most of the time it ends when they discard their supply. But there's one last step in that cycle, and that is the Hoover, when the narcissist decides to pop back into your life and try to suck you back into another cycle for one more go around. In this video, I want to discuss a few things about narcissistic hoovering. More specifically, why a narcissist hoovers and certain kinds of hoovers to be on the lookout for, and what they really mean, what the narcissist is actually trying to say to you. And also I want to talk about when this is more likely to happen. I think there's a misconception about being hoovered by a narcissist. And I think that is that when they do return, it's kind of implied that they want to start up a friendship or a relationship with you again. And that's just simply not always the case. When you're hoovered by a narcissist, all it really means is they want some attention. They've become bored with their new supply. Maybe they didn't pick a really good source to begin with and they're rather unhappy. Perhaps they have nowhere else to go, and so naturally your phone is the one that rings. Narcissists will normally only hoover those who they feel they can still get some sort of narcissistic supply from, but it just might not always be romantic in nature. Narcissists love attention, period. And we have to keep in mind that narcissists will take good attention or bad attention. It doesn't really matter as long as they have your undivided time and attention. Especially if you've gone through this cycle before, it's less likely to be romantic in nature or sometimes really very friendly at all. So the why they do this is pretty cut and dry. Let's talk about when a narcissist is more likely to hoover you than other times. Some narcissists really latch on to nostalgia. They'll hoover on a birthday, an anniversary, even a holiday. A day or even time of the year that maybe really means something to you is really special. Be on the lookout, especially for holidays, the ones that all happen at the end of the year, Valentine's Day, those are the big ones. They can also hoover when things fizzle out with their new relationship. And that's what happened to me. I got treated great for 3 months and then boom, I was being devalued. And well, why? Because there was someone new. So it was no surprise to me, in hindsight, of course, that after I was discarded, I was hoovered 3 months later. Well, the new relationship wasn't so shiny and new anymore. They got bored and well, there you go. Boredom is a big reason why narcissists come back, along with just not having decent supply. The sources are running low. Their precious little new supply wasn't really so great. And they will reach out to, again, who they think will respond back, play the game, and go and do this all over again. However, they'll try all sorts of nonsense to get your attention in hopes that you will reach back out to them and continue all of this. If they're only gone for a day or a couple of days, that's simply just ghosting or a really nice immature silent treatment. Typically, them hoovering is when you've gone at least a month or so with absolutely no communication, and then they decide to pull one of these little things on you. But let's go over some of these different kinds of hoover attempts. The crisis hoover. This is when the narcissist returns and they don't immediately lead with they want a new relationship. Oh no, they're having an absolute crisis. It could be something as mundane as maybe they need a few bucks, maybe they need a lot of bucks, maybe they need a ride somewhere, they're stranded, all the way up to they got a terrible medical diagnosis, they're dead, they're dying, they're homeless, they've lost their job, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes, which is really wild, they'll actually hoover an old source with this crisis as they're actually running a smear campaign on their new supply. They'll actually talk horrifically about this new person in their life to try to get you to believe that something awful is happening. They're in some kind of crisis. They chose this new person, but they just made a terrible decision. This person's abusive and awful. And this is designed, of course, to get you to answer. They leave a voicemail or a text reaching out telling you that something's awful and terrible. They might not even explain what it is. A lot of narcissists leave things purposefully vague, purposefully open-ended, and just say that they need to talk to you urgently. And since they're not telling you what it is, they're hoping that you will be more likely to answer. If they say, hey, I got a flat tire, you might not respond. But if you get, oh my God, I'm having such a hard time, I'm panicking, I'm freaking out, I need your help, You might be more likely to respond to that because you don't have as many details. And it's all designed, of course, like I say, to get you to answer. Never fall for this or any Hoover. If they need help from you, I know it's tough, but if they had treated you with any kind of respect or dignity, you would be there for them in a second. If they come to you in a crisis, this probably isn't their first crisis. They're always a highly dramatic person, and there's always a crisis. Nonetheless, this is an absolute Hoover. Do not fall for it. The guilt or fighting Hoover. Guilt Hoovers are interesting. This is when, of course, they return and try to drop this massive guilt bomb on you. And they might say certain things to you. Something along the lines of, wow, you're really not going to talk to me right now. You're really not going to answer me. You just walked away and ended things and gave me some really immature silent treatment. You're not even going to give me a chance to change or explain myself. I didn't think you'd do something, blah, blah, blah. We know how guilt goes. These Hoovers can be passive aggressive, very guilt trippy, and sometimes they can just be flat out mean. And it will sometimes boil down to just a fight between the two of you. Don't let anyone in this world who behaves like this guilt you, survivor. Let me tell you something really important as far as not talking to somebody, or somebody reaches out to you and you decide not to respond. Let me tell you a couple of really, really important things. You don't owe anybody a conversation. Nobody. You are an adult, especially someone who has hurt you, taken advantage of you, and I'm just going to frankly say what it is, been an all-around asshole to you. Flat out, you owe them nothing. And I'll tell you something else. When you go silent on them and you say nothing, trust me, they know exactly why. They're getting nothing but silence from you. They know. Did you ever have a fight with somebody, maybe when you were younger and less mature, and you would try to reach out, but they're still silent for a few days before you guys apologize, make up, and move on? Yeah, you know why someone isn't talking to you. They're mad. They're upset. They feel like you've done something to slight them or hurt them. So a narcissist absolutely knows why you're not talking to them, which means you don't have to have that conversation with them. You don't owe anybody anything. If you take nothing else away from my video, which is totally fine, understand, you have the power. You have the control. You're the one who's working this out here. You don't have to answer to anything. You don't have to answer to anyone, and you do not have to partake in this. A narcissist is self-aware about why everybody leaves them in the dust, and they don't like it. They're going to try to make it your fault, but your silence, they know why. You don't have to say anything. If you'd like to talk privately about what you're going through with a narcissist, and if you want to have someone you can vent to, get some help and support from, a fellow survivor who understands, you can always email bookachatwithjess@gmail.com to set up one-on-one chat sessions with me. The Oops Hoover. The Oops Hoover is probably the funniest, silliest one on this list, and we all know it. We've all seen it. This is where you get the text, "Oh, I can't wait to see you tomorrow, handsome," or beautiful, respectively. "I miss you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, oops, sorry, that text wasn't meant for you." I swear, half of the time when you get these, they weren't even texting somebody else. Who texts the wrong person anymore? Aren't we all good at texting now? Haven't we all been doing it for 20 years? But all of these really kind of crack me up. They're really transparent, but this one really has to take the cake for me. It's absolutely a Hoover. And I mean, if they're accidentally, quote unquote, sending something to, oh, oops, wrong person, have yourself a good laugh if you get one of these, survivors. Seriously, there's nobody else, and that's why they're texting you. The well-wish Hoover. We've all seen these. Hey, I just want to say that I hope you're doing really great, and I know you're going to accomplish whatever you want in life. I wish you a lot of luck. Ugh, those kind of things just make you want to puke, doesn't it? It's so fake. It's so obvious that they're upset and petty and jealous, and they're just trying in this moment to pretend to catch more flies with honey as they go on about this route. Also, another Hoover on this list that doesn't really go back to wanting to get into a relationship again and wanting to start all over. But now all of a sudden they wish you well. as if they've like gained some kind of clarity or insight and now all of a sudden everything's good and hey, they wish you all the best. I mean, honestly, give me a break. The I love you Hoover. Here we go. Here's the lovey-dovey one. Now, they might not necessarily say that they want to try again, but this is just that nostalgia-soaked Hoover that might actually make you want to give them another chance. It's usually pretty heavy with the love bombing and the gaslighting. They love you. They see how great you are now and how much you love them. They realize how much they love you. Nobody else could ever be you. Funny thing about this, I actually don't need to act inappropriately and abusively and break up with somebody and then all of a sudden have a moment of being clairvoyant and say, oh snap, wait, I really do love them. Even though we haven't talked for days, weeks, months, maybe longer, now all of a sudden I decide I really love this person. It's all so clear now. Yeah, that's an absolute joke. The let's start over / kind of sort of I'm sorry Hoover. I used to say that this one was like one of the most common kinds of Hoovers, but I'm not really sure if I agree with that thought process anymore. I think a lot of narcs now come back and they kind of sort of try to like play it cool and then they ease back into the let's try again. Some go that route and some don't. However, I haven't been Hoovered in over 4 years, so my personal knowledge on that is somewhat limited. I did get the I'm sorry Hoover. Actually, I got the, hey, I'm going to come back like nothing ever happened, and then maybe segue kind of sort of into I'm sorry Hoover. So usually when they want to start over, you're going to get some sort of fake apology, and they might tell you something along the lines of I've changed, I got help, I'm talking to somebody, I'm in therapy, I got medication, some such other nonsense. I do this and that now. A lot of them might even go towards religion. I found this or that religion, what have you. It'll be so much different this time. That's usually what they're pressing upon in the let's start over Hoover. It's going to be so much different this time. There might be some begging as well. Please forgive me. Again, this time it's going to be better. I swear. That's the let's start over Hoover. The good old, hey, by the way, Hoover. Back to the funny ones, just because I enjoy them so much. This is when this absolute weirdo texts you or emails you something after like 4 months of not talking and goes, oh, hey, I think you still have my, insert something like not important, trivial, and stupid right here. And I'd like it back, please. So when can I come and get it? Or please tell me when you'll be sending that back to me. Or it can also be flipped and they might say, hey, I know it's been like 7 months. Boy, how time flies. You left this toothpick over here at my place. And so are you going to come get this? Or, what do I do? What do I do with this? Do I call a moving company to have it hauled away? What's going on here? Whatever it is they want, they clearly don't care about it because it didn't go with them in the first place. And whatever you might have left behind, you consider it lost and happy to do so, knowing that this person is out of your life. So that's the good old, hey, by the way, what are we doing about this leftover stuff kind of Hoover? And sometimes they'll even purposefully leave things behind or hide things from you so that you accidentally leave things behind, just so that they have a reason to talk and reach out and do this later. Some of this is planned and some of it isn't. So if you're struggling with that, I have some videos on blocking the narcissist, as well as a bunch of videos that can help prepare you to go no contact and stay no contact. I encourage you to check out those videos on my channel. I'll actually link some of them down in the description for you if you want to go ahead and jump right into those. If you feel like you're hooked on this person, you might have an addiction, you're having a hard time letting go. I also encourage you to take a listen to my playlist and videos that I have on healing and getting past that trauma bond, getting past that addiction. And I'm also going to toss some of those videos down in the description for you to check out as well. Actually, on top of that, I'll just link a few different playlists as well. I'll give you a whole bunch of information that you can just scroll down to the description of the video and click on and jump right into those if you think that they would be helpful for you. Share your stories about how you were hoovered down in the comments, and share which hoovering tactic that I went over was used on you, or share if it was something completely different. And most importantly, share in the comments how you dealt with the hoovering. What was it that you did? Also, if you have any other encouraging words you'd like to share with fellow survivors, always throw those in the comments as well. If you would like to join the Survivors Army, there's a button right below this video that says join if you would like to support my work. There's also a nice little clicky link down in the